What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I've got a fascinating article for you guys today. Just a little bit of news, a little something like, oh yeah, that's interesting. And another proof, I guess, of what I've been saying about these tariffs is the truth, if you will. And what the corporate press has been telling you guys is an absolute lie. They're trying to fearmonger about all these tariffs. Once again, it's always the narrative with these people. It's always Trump bad, Trump evil. Everything he does is bad, right? And it's always bad with these tariffs. But what they don't tell you is what he's trying to do with these. And this video, we're going to break all this down. We're going to get all into this. Let's check out the headline right quick, see what we got going on. Check this out, y'all. Ferrari says it will raise prices by 10% on some models to offset auto tariffs. Now, you might be thinking, oh, here we go, Trump's tariff war. But did you notice something fascinating about that? The tariffs are 25%. So, wait, hang on. The tariffs are 25%, but Ferrari's raising the price by 10%. Well, I've got some more fascinating news for you guys. Check this out.
So if you're running a car company, do you even think you know what you're facing right now if you've got manufacturing in America, but other places as well?
Here's the thing, Brian. These manufacturers don't want to lose market share. And so if you see what BMW did, they announced a week or two ago that they were going to price protect dealers up until May 1st, right? Just as an example. And so at the moment, what it seems like is happening, Ferrari, which is not, of course, not a mainstream brand, right? No. Very much exotic luxury. They announced that they were raising prices by like 10% or so.
Nobody
but
cares.
The point I'm trying to make is that
if people talk about Ferrari and tariffs,
I think there's actually, there's an important point here. I think the point here is that, and BMW is another good example. Their price increases are about 4%. So those are two examples, two very different pockets of the market. But the point here, no one has said 25%, right? So why? And I think I said they're trying to see what their competition is going to do. They don't want to jump the gun. There's a lot of uncertainty. And so they're taking these baby steps. And BMW, in my opinion, is one of the best examples of this because they did send a memo to their dealers, which I got a hold of. And their price increases are only 4% at the moment, effective May 1st. And so I think these manufacturers are going to have to wait and see what is going to happen, what are their competitors going to do, and then they're going to react accordingly.
So, Yoshi, if you had to place your bets where you just left off there, do they pull back on EV initiatives and put it into their manufacturing here, or do they just pull back completely and just see where the chips fall? And the C choice of all this is that, does any of this, in your opinion, really take place, or are we a month out and we're having a completely different conversation?
I think it's day by day at this point. There isn't a consensus among anyone or anything. The automakers and the dealers, it's very much a mixed bag at the moment because everyone's reacting to the live news. But I will tell you that I haven't seen, it's been relatively positive in the sense that dealers are aware that their manufacturers have some added capacity they can add to manufacture more cars and, at least smooth this out. So if these do stick, that they can absorb it over some period of time. Everyone's going to take a different strategy.
Yeah, so very fascinating that is. BMW is only raising their price by 4%. That's interesting as hell, isn't it? Yes, this is what these tariffs are meant to do. Once again, like I was saying, these companies to stay competitive because not everybody's getting a blanket tariff. Now, the prices on the products that are not getting tariffed, they're going to stay stagnant. They're going to stay the same. They're going to go up with inflation, sure. But for the most part, they don't get tariffed, so those prices are going to stay low. So what are people going to do if these companies from these countries that are getting tariffed, if they just raise the price by the amount of the tariff, they just raise that price, nobody's going to buy that product anymore. Once again, this is what I've been yelling and screaming. This is what the corporate press isn't telling you. So they have multiple options here. They can absorb the tariff fully. They can split the baby, if you will, and, give some of that off to, the consumer and then absorb some of it. They can give it all to the consumer and tank their company. or they can build a manufacturing facility in the United States and circumvent the tariffs altogether. Now, this is the angle that Donald Trump is going in on. If these people want to stay manufacturing outside of the country, go right ahead. But he's going to tax these people and get the money off of that because he's lowering taxes in the United States on you, right? So the tariff, yeah, it might offset that in the corporate press narrative, in the corporate press world. If they just raise their prices, the regular tax cuts might offset that. It might not. You just don't know. But with how the markets work, because these companies are not insane and they're not just going to immediately raise their price by the exact amount of the tariff. They're not insane. They understand that, we have market stability over here. We've got all kinds of things going on in the market, so they can't just raise the price. So they're going to absorb some of that cost. So what is that? That is Donald Trump taxing the corporations. Oh my God. That's a left-wing position, isn't it? Tax the corporations. Tax the billionaires. And the left is crying foul on this. You got to wonder why that is. That is absurd. That is highly absurd, if you ask me. But, another part to this is, like with these auto tariffs, this is the angle Donald Trump is trying to get at, is, okay, to avoid this, because this could be, that 15% that Ferrari is absorbing. Now, Ferraris, they're kind of an outlier. They are not going to build a manufacturing plant in the United States. They do not produce enough cars. However, BMW does. As a matter of fact, BMW produces cars in the United States. They have a manufacturing plant. So, this is to get auto manufacturing back to the United States. That is right. To give Americans jobs, actually. That is what that is meant to do. To give you a good paying, very, very good, stable job. That is what that is for. That is for the American worker. That is creating more opportunities, making America great, and the government's making some money in the process. So it's a win-win all the way around. All of this fear-mongering by the corporate press is just utter and blatant nonsense. Yeah, I love saying blatant nonsense. They don't go together, those two words. But I like putting words together that do not go together. As a matter of fact, let's get into this story right quick. We're going to break all this down. Because, once again, the corporate press, they don't like telling you these things. They want you to believe that these tariffs are bad, that they're scary. Oh, because, look, the stock market is crashing. It's crumbling right now. But it's really not. It's just going down a little bit. Of course that's going to happen. But you know what? The stock market fluctuates, y'all. It's constantly up and down. Now, it's generally on an upward trend, or at least it has been for a pretty good while. But it's up and down on that upward trend. So, don't worry about the stock markets, because they're going to rebound, y'all. They always do. They always do. Even during the Great Depression, they rebounded. As a matter of fact, it took a while. A lot of people lost a lot of money. But if you bought during the dip, if you still held on to a little bit of money, that's what I would suggest right now to anybody that is invested into the stock markets, is go and buy stocks now, because they're going to go back up, y'all. They are. But that's not any financial advice from me. I am not a financial expert. I am just a random guy on the internet that doesn't know what he's talking about. But once again, like I said, if you follow Congress, yeah, you'll know exactly what to do. But let's get into this before I rant on forever, because I probably could rant on forever, because just kidding. Ferrari said Thursday it will raise prices by 10% on certain models after April 1st in response to new U.S. auto tariffs, adding up to $50,000 to the price of a typical Ferrari. Oh, but which typical Ferrari? You see, they already contradicted themselves on certain models. Insane, yo. The Maranello, Italy-based sports car maker, said prices will remain unchanged for all cars imported before April 2nd. After that, the commercial terms for 3 of its model families, the Ferrari 296, SF90, and Roma, will remain unchanged, the company said in a release. For the Puro Sangue, which starts at about $430,000, that price hike amounts to about $43,000. For the limited edition F80, which starts at more than $3.5 million, the increase will add up to more than $350,000 to the price tag. That's quite a lot, as a matter of fact. But you know what I'm saying. If you're willing to fork out $3.5 million, you're willing to fork out $3.85 million, as a matter of fact, for a car. President Trump on Wednesday announced tariffs of 25% on all cars not made in the U.S. Ferrari produces all of its cars at its Maranello factory. Last year, Ferrari produced 13,752 cars. The company plans to launch its first all-electric Ferrari in October. So, once again, they put this out there because this is the most impactful, right? Oh, they're raising the price by 10%. That's why they didn't mention BMW, actually. That's why they're not mentioning any of these other cars. That's why you haven't heard any news about any of these other automobiles prices going up yet. That's because they're probably not going to. Not much, at least. A couple percent, maybe. So yeah, sure, you're going to pay a little bit more for a car. But, at the same time, they're absorbing the vast majority of this tariff, y'all. They're actually absorbing the vast majority of this. And plus, a lot of import vehicle brands, if you will, they already make vehicles in the United States. They make certain vehicles, right? So not all of them are made here, but, like Nissan, Toyota, a lot of these places, they already make vehicles here. So they could simply just expand some of these vehicle plants to encapsulate all of their other their lineup, if you will. But let's keep going. It is unclear what effects the tariff will have on Ferrari sales, since there is already a waiting list of more than a year for most of its vehicles. Ferrari buyers are generally wealthy enough to easily absorb the price hikes. But once again, they're not telling you that Ferrari is actually absorbing the majority of the price hike. Actually, because like they say, oh, it's increasing by 10%, but they don't tell you, or they did tell you it's a 25% tariff, but they never mentioned anywhere in this article that Ferrari is absorbing the 15%. That's because they don't want you to know that. They just want you to know that prices are increasing. And that's it. They don't want to tell you the facts about these tariffs. This is why it's so absurd. And this is why these tariffs are actually good for the country. I'm not trying to make an argument that they're neutral or anything. No, that's not the argument I'm making. The argument I'm making is that the corporate press is saying they're bad, and I'm saying the corporate press is insane because these are actually good. This is meant to make America stronger. It's meant to bring manufacturing back. It's meant to tax the corporations. It's meant to make things easier to purchase. Once again, y'all, it might sound bad. Oh, a tariff, blah, blah, blah. We got a trade war going on. That sounds scary, and that's what the corporate press loves to do. They love to make you scared, so you're over here hiding in your corner of the world or whatever, wherever you're at, and you're just in fear, so you'll never vote for Republicans ever again. That's what they want you to do. But I am here to tell you that do not do that. Embrace the tariffs, because sure, once again, but you got to think all these things through once again. Like, he's not tariffing, if that's even how you say that. I don't know if there's another term for tariffing. It just sounds dumb, doesn't it? Let me know down in the comments section. It sounds dumb to say, oh, he's tariffing these people. It just sounds weird. Imposing tariffs, right? He's not imposing tariffs on everybody. It's targeted tariffs, essentially. So you got to think about that. It's only going to be targeted to those specific countries, to imports from those specific countries. So you got to think, once again, if you buy American, for the most part, you don't have nothing to worry about. If you buy imported goods from countries that do not have tariffs imposed on them, So once again, I'm not going to say tariffing, but if you know, you're good, right? Because they're not getting tariffed. That just sounds so weird. It sounds vulgar. Tariffed. Ferrari also said Thursday it confirms its financial targets for 2025, but added that there's a potential risk of 50 basis points of profitability percentage margins. In an interview with CNBC this month, Ferrari CEO Benedetto Vigna said even though Ferrari buyers are wealthy, the company has to be sensitive to passing on too much of the added costs of tariffs. Fascinating that is. When we look at other clients, we consider that these people, to buy a Ferrari, they have to work, he said. We have to respect them because of us. The most important thing is the client. So we need to make sure that we treat them in the right way. That is fascinating. And I am like flabbergasted that they actually added that into this article, because anybody with an IQ in the 3-digit range would be able to read that and be like, oh, the corporate press has been lying to me this whole time. Shares of Ferrari were slightly higher Thursday morning, while shares of the U.S. Big Three automakers were largely lower. Yeah, it's funny. Once again, the stock market is going down a little bit, but, you know, it is what it is. That is how the markets work. They are volatile, folks. They are volatile. They go up and they go down. And, of course, when you start imposing tariffs, that's going to disrupt the markets. Why? Because you're disrupting costs. You're disrupting the profit margins. Once again, like he was saying, it interrupts our profitability margins over here. So, what is that going to do? That's going to lower their stock costs. But, once again, it's going to come back up once the markets normalize. Everything's going to shift back to status quo, if you will. And everything's going to start coming back up. So don't worry about it if you have some retirement and you're bought into automobiles. Right? Don't worry about that. Yeah, you might have lost a little bit, but you will get it back eventually. Just hang in there, I would say. But once again, this whole video is mostly just... It's not necessarily about the news, because I imagine you guys aren't going to go out and buy a Ferrari anytime soon. I know I probably never will. Probably never will have that much money to be able to afford a Ferrari. Shoot. You know, I'm one of those types of people that I can't just go out and buy a vehicle. Like, if I want a new vehicle, I can't go and decide, I'm going to go to Ford. I think I'm going to get a Ford this time. You know, I'm one of those types of people that, you know, I only get a vehicle once my other one breaks down and just it's unrepairable at that point, right? And I find a decent deal, right? Like right now I'm driving a Honda, essentially. A Honda Ridgeline. Quote unquote pickup truck. It's not really a pickup truck. It's an SUV that has a bed. But, you know, I got that on a really good deal. That's the type of person I am. I would love to be able to go and just order a truck from Ford or Chevy or something like that. Order a vehicle specifically for me, right? But I can't do that. I can't afford a vehicle that way. I have to find a good deal, somebody that's actually selling a vehicle at a decent price to be able to afford to get a vehicle. Now, my wife, she's a different story, right? She carries the kid around and all that, so she gets a good vehicle. But me, you know, we're kind of stuck with leftovers over here. I get whatever I can get. That's just me, though, so none of this really affects me. But, you know, I just wanted to come in and break that narrative. And once again, it's just proving that the corporate press is lying to you. They're almost always lying to you. Don't let them fearmonger you into a corner, into a closet where you're hiding in the dark, scared of the market collapse, right? Because that's not going to happen, y'all. That is absolutely not going to happen. Like, we just got to look back at Donald Trump's first term. He did bring a little bit of manufacturing back. If we wouldn't have had COVID and he would have got reelected, I imagine the United States would be much, much better off than we are right now. Because, like I said, Joe Biden came in and just, you know, with ridiculous policy, just destroyed all kinds of stuff. With just increasing government spending, increasing the federal workforce, these ridiculous policies. It was absurd. what Joe Biden had done. But it's getting crazy out here, y'all. So once again, y'all don't let the corporate press fool you into believing some nonsense. And y'all you gotta read between the lines on a lot of this. If you hear a corporate press narrative that kind of sounds like, wow, that's crazy, really crazy, it's probably because, yeah, they're just crazy and they're lying to you about something. But once again, y'all let me know what y'all think. That's all I got on this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day. Stay legitical. Peace.